Is a major altcoin move coming for the overall altcoin markets? I am talking about Total 3 because I've been talking about this huge setup that it could be breaking soon. Okay. This is a 4-year resistance that has been set since back in 2021. And if Total 3 actually breaks out of this resistance, this is going to this is really going to heat this altcoin season up. So let's take a look into that in just a second. We're going to be taking a look into Bitcoin because that is still the driver of this market. You do not want to ignore Bitcoin. That is, if Bitcoin dumps, that could still tank your altcoins. Okay. And so you want to be rooting for Bitcoin. We're also going to be taking a look into a few altcoin setups, which would include Pancake Swap, which is a request by one of my viewers. If you guys have any requests, you can drop it in the comment section below. Also, leave a like and subscribe. I'll pick a request to do for you guys on a daily basis. We're also going to be taking a look into ANKR Network, ANKR, and see what has happened in this coin. And of course, one more altcoin setup, which is Cartesi, CTSI. See what's happened in this altcoin as well. So let's go ahead and dive into some news first, major economics news, because we're getting quite a bit of good news here. At least that's contributing to the Fed lowering interest rates. Okay, that's going to be coming up in less than a week now. September 17th is the date to watch. Okay, that's going to be a crazy day. Now, do you think we're going to get a God candle, like a God bullish candle? I don't know. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to happen, but I do think that will be the start of more cheap money coming into the market. Okay, which is going to be good for this bull market. Like we have seen back in 2021, back in the 2010s. So let's go ahead and dive into some news first before getting to the charts. First piece of news here is by You Today. Bitcoin price reversing gains as U.S. inflation reshapes sentiment. So this has got a bit of a bearish tone here, reversing gains. Now, let's see here. Bitcoin is steadily reversing to more than 3.8% gains on the last 7 days as the effect of U.S. inflation hit the flagship cryptocurrency. Let's read some more into this because I just want to know what he's talking about. As highlighted by Ted Pillows, a vocal markets analyst, Bitcoin, which previously surged past 114K, looks like it was heading for the next level, has lost momentum. I mean, that is just way too soon to be speaking about losing momentum because, I do think actually it's picking up momentum. I wouldn't be surprised that it's going to come up to over 121st before hitting the next resistance here. And these are just, of course, yeah, I mean, these analysts, man, I mean, like, it's there's going to be ups and downs in a day, right? But if we actually look at the chart here, we're still picking up higher highs and higher lows here. Since it has bottomed here on the short-term bottom of like about 107K. Okay, so I don't see it losing momentum. And when you see higher highs and higher lows, like we're seeing here, since it hit the bottom of 107K, I mean, that is still technically an uptrend. And this daily candle still looks very healthy as of right now. So just gotta think about these headlines with a critical mind, okay? Because I don't listen, and I don't listen to everything I say. I mean, people say. I have to see if it makes sense first. Next piece here is by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin eyes 115K on CPI data as traders diverge on new Bitcoin price dip. Okay, so key points here is Bitcoin nears 3-week highs as US CPI data matches expectations. Yeah, it came in at 2.9%, and that was what's expected. This is in addition to a cooling PPI report that was just released yesterday, and I talked about that yesterday. Plenty of market participants see Bitcoin heading higher as a result. Yes, I do agree with that. I think the next real resistance is going to be, of course, the previous all-time highs. It's going to be anywhere from 120 to 124, and I'll tell you guys why in just a second. Um, let's see. CPI has seen Bitcoin price fake outs in recent months. I mean, every CPI report is different. So, but right now, what I'm really looking at right now, it is the CME Watch tool. Let's take a refresh here. We're still looking at a 100% probability of an ease here. And I think this is going to be the start of the Fed rate cut cycle. Okay. Some things to also be very much paying attention to is the summary of economic projections that's going to be released in this Fed meeting, telling us how many Fed rate cuts are we going to get for the remainder of the year. So that is also something very important. If we get, I think, at least two, that's still very bullish for the markets. If we go down to one, which I don't think so because of just how much the job market has deteriorated, and a cooling PPI reports. I mean, but if we get one, then that's not good for the markets, right? But if we get three, of course, that's going to be great. Let's take a look into the next piece here. Uh, Coinpedia just in. August CPI data shows stable inflation at 2.9%. How will crypto react? I think crypto is going to be, that's very bullish for crypto because that's going to give the green light for the Fed to lower rates, right? And when they lower rates, more cheap money is going to be coming into the markets. I mean, it's as simple as that. And that's going to push market prices, asset prices higher. Next piece here is by Dow Jones Newswire. Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum slips as crypto rally stalls. I love it. I always have to listen to both sides of the market. Even though I am bullish on the markets, I am long on Bitcoin. I am long on quite a bit of the altcoins here. Then my opinion on this market is bullish. But of course, these are just my opinions and not financial advice. And I always listen to the other side just to see, just to check myself, and just to see if their argument is valid. This in this case, I don't think the argument is valid because I don't, you know, how is it stalling, right? We're near the day's range high. How is it stalling? So it's, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next piece here. Coinpedia. Excuse me for my voice. By the way, I'm having allergies. That seems to be a very common thing here in Southern California. In September, I've talked to a couple of people at Home Depot yesterday, and they're also getting allergies. So it's not just me. So that's great. Um, Now, Coinpedia. Bitcoin sharks are accumulating heavily. What this means for Bitcoin price? Well, I mean, when they take supply off the market, I mean, that's gonna whenever the demand actually comes, that is gonna push the price much higher. I think that's gonna what's gonna do. As simple as that. So let's go ahead and go to the charts here. Uh, so this is gonna be very important. ES1 exclamation mark. If this thing actually breaks out of this rising wedge here, which looks like it's trying to, but if it gets a solid candle close above this rising wedge, could that be a front running bullish signal for Bitcoin? Because they have high correlation. Okay. We see a rising wedge here. If rising wedges are typically bearish patterns and they have a higher chance of breaking to the downside. But if they actually do break to the upside, that's very bullish. I'm looking for a solid daily candle close above this rising wedge pattern. Okay, that's going to be looking very good for crypto as well. That could be a front running signal if the correlation doesn't break here. Let's take a look into Bitcoin, where you also see a rising wedge here, right? A rising wedge. If this thing breaks down, that's not going to be good. Okay, if this thing breaks down, let's just say, for example, here, price target, it is still about almost 75K. Okay. Inside the rising wedge pattern, we do have some mixed signals. We have a falling wedge pattern. Price target here, it broke out back in September 2nd. Price target here is going to be 121.5K. Okay. This is the real resistance I'm going to be looking at in about this range, about 120 to, of course, that 124. That was the previous rejection here. Um, because there is still a chance that Bitcoin could, break down from this rising wedge pattern, and that's not going to be good for your altcoins. Something to be paying attention to. Let's go ahead and go to. We're not going to talk about Ethereum today. We're just going to be talking about altcoins, total three, because unless you guys want me to talk about Ethereum, leave a comment in the comment section below. But I am long on Ethereum. I am looking to take a short-term profit. I am on leverage with Ethereum. Let's talk about this. This is more important because Ethereum has already retested, has already tapped its all-time highs, right? At about 49.55, almost 5,000. So the next thing to follow is total three, because Bitcoin has set all time highs, Ethereum has set all time highs, and they usually follow each other, right? I mean, Bitcoin usually takes the lead, and then total three usually, follows after. This is basically what I'm seeing here: weekly time frame, weekly time frame. This is a long time. Uh, Pattern here. Cup and handle that has been set since back in, look at this, November of 2021. Wow, that was a crazy time, right? Uh, and this is a perfect cup and handle here. And if this thing breaks out here, which the resistance is about 1.15 trillion, price target is going to be about 2 trillion. That's going to be crazy for the altcoins. Now, price targets are estimates only. There could be more or less, right? Very much depends on Bitcoin. Okay. Let's take a look. So this is the thing to watch right now. We're about less than 5% away from a possible breakout here. There is bearish divergence on the daily time frame. There are a few mixed signals on a higher time frame as well. Some possible bearish divergence scenarios. But I mean, if this bearish divergence ends up in a not very red candle, like not a very strong red candle like this thing could continue pushing further up, and that's going to be good for the altcoins. Something to be watching. This is the daily time frame. Let's go ahead and go to. Let's go ahead and go to ANKR Network. See what's happening in ANKR Network. ANKR weekly time frame here. All right. Weekly time frame here, falling wedge pattern. It's going to be a very common pattern. The most common pattern you guys will see if you start charting these charts. Very simple, very effective, much lower risk than chasing the breakout of these patterns, because probably retail is going to FOMO in when usually there's a breakout, right? But that's going to be a higher risk setup. Okay, I mean, me and you are retail too, but if you guys are watching this video, you guys are probably trying to, get to know more about, get in the know, right? And understand these charts. And when you start understanding these charts, you're going to get a huge lead ahead of the rest of retail. And I mean, you're probably less likely to get dumped on, okay, at the end of this bull cycle. So just keep subscribed, keep watching, keep learning. Let's take a look into this weekly time frame. Like I said, now falling wedge pattern. If it breaks out by this point here, let's just say, for example, price target would be about 10.5 cents. Price targets are estimates only. I've seen quite a bit of breakouts that don't meet its price targets. Very much depends on what type of market we're in, and of course on Bitcoin. Okay. Um, Now, let's take a look into the daily time frame here. I talked about this falling wedge pattern. Daily time frame, it finally broke out. It hasn't done too much yet. It broke out September 9th, so I adjusted the moving the price target based on this actual breakout point. Price target now would be about almost 2 cents for Anchor. Quite a bit of resistance along the way. Daily 50 SMA about 1.6 cents. Daily 200 SMA 1.7 cents. Okay, so something to be paying attention to. Let's take a look into the next coin here, which is Cartesi, CTSI. See what's happening in Cartesi. Weekly time frame. Like I said, very common pattern. The most common pattern, falling wedge, okay? It broke out a couple of weeks ago. Price target here would be about 42 cents for Cartesi. It has broken out, stayed on top of the weekly 21 SMA at about 7 cents. Weekly 50 SMA is resistance at about 10 cents. Daily time frame, let's see. So still very much like what we talked about before. Not much has really changed. This is a double bottom pattern, right? And still valid. Neckline of this double bottom pattern would be about 10.5 cents to be more exact or rounded. Just to maybe, yeah, 10.5 cents. Just to be round, right? Price target for here would be about 14 cents. Cartesi is trying to it's trying to work its way up to the neckline. So let's see if it does that and meets that price target if it breaks out. Let's take a look into Pancake Swap. Pancake Swap here is, let's see here, okay? Falling wedge pattern. It's probably more validated on a it's more validated. It's going to be a validated on a lower time frame here. I don't have exactly 3 candles touching on either of the trend lines, but it is close enough. And like I said, it's probably validated on the lower time frames. I think the 12-hour it is validated, but that's close enough for me. Okay, and the price target here, let's just say if it breaks out by this point, price target would be about $7.80. Price targets. Let's take a look into a smaller time frame and see if I can get a better sense of what Pancake Swap could be doing. Let's just chart this live. This is a falling wedge pattern, right? And that's how you chart it. You connect at least 3 candles on both of the trend lines, and there you go. Let's just say if it breaks out by this point, for example, because it looks like it could break out. Price target here would be about almost $3.30. Okay. Now, you also want to consider the downside as well, because I've seen falling wedges break down, because even though they have a higher chance of breaking to the upside, they still have a lower chance of breaking to the downside. So this is basically it for some of these coins. Let me know if you guys want to continue seeing any more of Pancake Swap, CTSI, ANKR Network, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Of course, I'm going to talk about them every day. By dropping a like, comment, subscribe, or let me know if you have any other requests in this market. Let me know, and I'll pick a request to do for you guys on a daily basis.